What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel, Lunaria33. Sorry about the angle because I'm trying not to get the light coming in from the window here, otherwise it makes the video look kind of weird. I don't know. But today I am going to show you my court cards. So I'm going to do all of the pages first, then the knights, then the queens, and the kings. So let's get right into it. The first one I'm going to show you, oh, my iPad's right here if you're wondering why I'm looking over here. But I'm going to show you right here. So the first one I'm going to show you is my Page of Pentacles. So pretty. Oh, actually, before I get into it, my court cards, if you guys didn't know, for those of you who might not be following me on Instagram or don't have an Instagram, I did mention I am terrible at drawing people, right? So, but I'm pretty decent at drawing skeletal figures. So my court cards are going to be skeletal figures or parts. My pages are all skeletal hands reaching out to the suit item. It's kind of like, you know, like a child reaching out to knowledge of a pentacle or a sword or a wand or a cup. You know what I mean? Kind of like they're trying to reach out for something new so they can start understanding it. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, enough blabbering. So here's my Page of Pentacles. The page, as you can see, is again a skeletal hand reaching out towards the pentacle, which here I tried my best to make it a beautiful looking flower with the pentacle in the middle of the flower. And then leaves, you can either see the leaves going towards the flower or coming off of the flower. It's as if the pentacle was thrown and the page is catching it. Does that make any sense? At least that's how I feel it looks like. And if you can see on the palm of the hand, there's a little tiny skull also to sort of signify the page being a younger being or a younger figure. So normally with children, you know, obviously they have smaller skulls, right? They're not that small, obviously, but I wanted to just throw in there a smaller skull just to emphasize like the youngness of the page. Hopefully that makes sense. The other thing too is it's kind of like we're absorbing the knowledge of whatever suit the page is reaching towards onto their palm, but also within their mind. Because like in our skulls, obviously we carry our brain, our mind. So that's also why I put the skull on the palm of the hand. So here we have our Page of Cups. Again, it's the same skeletal hand, only in this case you have the cup that it's reaching for. And at the base of the cup, you'll see I put roses on there. The reason why I put roses on there is because one of the things, or one of the few things that the cups represent are like emotions, feelings. One of those feelings or emotions is love. Roses are a big symbolism of love, so that's why I put roses in there for the cup here, or the base of the cup. Here we have my Page of Swords. So per usual, as the other one is reaching out for the sword. At the base or the handle of the sword, you have feathers. Feathers being a symbolism of air, and obviously swords being part of the air element as well. So that is my Page of Swords. And then the last of the pages is the Page of Wands. So again, I have the page reaching out for the wand, and with the suit of wands, passion is a big thing with wands, which you can also relate it towards love. Love is a very passionate feeling, right? So in here, I also included a rose. And at the base of the wand, there's a lot of flames coming out. One random thing that I thought about is with the suits, like the wands, the cups, pentacles, swords, at least with the pages, the weight, for me, it looked like as if the page was catching the item, kind of like somebody threw it at them and they're like, oh, let me catch it. So you can either see it that way, like they're catching it on purpose because they don't want it to fall, or you can see it as the page reaching out to be like, ooh, what is this? I want to get to know this. I want to, you know, learn this for the first time. I'm not familiar with it. So that's one thing that I thought was pretty cool when I started, like when I took a step back and looked at my pages, is that you can either see it as if they're reaching for something or they're trying to catch something. And in this case, that something is the suits. All right, so now we're gonna do the knights. So knights are usually depicted with movement, speeds, or particular types of speeds. So just to symbolize the, I guess to sort of have the essence of movement, I put wings on their skulls or attach their skulls, and it's a side view of the skull itself. So, you know, when we're walking, we're facing this way, right? You know, we're moving this way. We're not walking like this. Hopefully that makes sense. But I kept the knights as a side view of the skull and attached wings to them to symbolize the movement aspect of the knights. So with the Knight of Pentacles, you'll see at the base of the knight, you have the big, beautiful flower pentacle. And then behind them, you have a bunch of leaves as if they're, I guess, moving with the wind. Makes me think of Pocahontas, Colors of the Wind, because there was a bunch of leaves going everywhere. Typically, the knight is the slowest moving element or being, and I believe that would symbolize years, in case some of you guys weren't aware. But that is my Knight of Pentacles. Next is the Knight of Cups. Again, it's the same skeletal figure with the wing attached to the skull to symbolize the essence of movement. And behind them, you have this huge cup with the roses at the base of the cup. And I believe cups would be seen as months. Knights, pentacles were seen as years if you're trying to look for it in a time frame aspect. Cups would be seen as months. So it would be the second slowest moving element. But that is my Knight of Cups. Next is the Knight of Swords. The same skeletal figure at the side view with the wings attached for showing movement. And behind the Knight of Swords is the actual sword with the feathers at the base of the sword. I have the sword facing, or the point facing down. And I believe with swords, actually with swords and wands, it can be like flipped. So to each their own with this. But with swords, that's seen as weeks, if you want to see it as like a time frame aspect. So it would be either the third slowest moving element or the second fastest element, whichever way you want to see it. But that is my Knight of Swords. Next is our Knight of Wands. Same thing, side view of the skull with the wing attached for movement. Behind the skull or the knight, you have the wand, and sort of coming out of the wand, also behind the skull, you have a bunch of flames. Kind of like the wand is bursting on fire or something. And with the wands, again, it can be either or for the wands and the swords, because usually some people flip them. But with the wands, it's usually seen as the fastest element. So if you want to see it in a time frame aspect, it would be for days. So just to backtrack, pentacles would be years, cups would be months, swords would be weeks, and wands would be days. But you can switch wands and swords if you choose. I've seen some people do it that way, to each their own, obviously. But that is my Knight of Wands. All right, so now we're into the queens. So with the queens and the kings, it's a full frontal, I guess, face of a skull. So it's like they're looking right at you is what I'm trying to say. I don't know, it's just me, but when I hear full frontal, I just think full frontal nudity for some reason. All right, mine's out of the gutter. Anyways, this is my Queen of Pentacles. So obviously she is facing you. She has a crown of roses as well as a crown of flowers, like other flowers. I'm not sure what you would call that flower. I don't know if that would be a daisy. But if you guys think that flower looks like a particular type of flower, let me know in the comments down below. I just draw them like whatever, but sometimes things have a meaning that I don't even know of until somebody else brings it up, and then it's like, what? Like, it's not a coincidence, it happened for a reason. But all right, I'm sidetracking here. So my queen has a crown of flowers, essentially, and above her on her right side, I think for you guys, my right is your left or my left is your right. I don't know. But for me and for you, the pentacle is on her right side above her on the corner here. And then at the base of her, you have the leaves flowing out. With the queens, essentially, I wanted to keep their crowns. I wanted to keep their crowns a bit smaller, not necessarily more simple, but not as like extravagant as we usually see the king's crowns look like. So I tried to keep my Queen of Pentacles crown simple, pretty, full of flowers and all that jazz. But that is my Queen of Pentacles. Next we have my Queen of Cups. Behind her you have the big old cup, again more so towards the right of the Queen, and her crown is of roses. All of my queens actually have a base crown of roses, and then they have their own like elemental crown above it, kind of like two crowns in one, I guess. But here you have the roses, and then you also have moon drops or moon droplets, whatever you want to call it, in her crown as well. I really like how her crown came out. Maybe because the droplets make it look really pointy or something, but I just think it looks really cool. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. This is one of my more favorite crowns, just because, I don't know, something about it looks really cool. It's probably the spikes, for sure, probably the spikes. Next is my Queen of Swords. Again, you have the rose crown, or the base of the crown being roses, and then here within her crown you have swords, which look pretty cool actually. But can you imagine like if she threw her crown at someone? Ouch. So I put swords on her crown of roses, and behind her you have the big sword towards the right of the card. Again, with the Queen's crowns, I wanted to go with the more simple look, not too extravagant and spiky or tall, if that makes any sense. So that is my Queen of Swords. And lastly for the queens is my Queen of Wands. So again, you have the base crown of the roses here, and within my Queen of Wands you have the wands sort of put within her crown too. Behind her, if you can see, there's also little spikes of flames coming out. Kind of like her head is on fire, but she's not hurting. It's a part of her. The flames, the fire, the passion, it's a part of her. And behind her, you see the big old wand, again, towards the right of the Queen. And within the base of the wand, you have the flames coming out too. So that is my Queen of Wands. So with my kings, I wanted to try to make their crowns a bit taller than the queens, because usually like with the king's crowns, they're either taller or more extravagant. In my case, I tried to just make them taller. Hopefully that makes sense. And here, as you can see, the King of Pentacles crown is a bunch of leaves, pointy leaves, or leaves with their point on the top. You know what I'm trying to say. And the pentacle is at the left side of the king, and you have the leaves coming out underneath, going towards their right side. So that is my King of Pentacles. I need some water. This isn't water. This is a mocha frappe for McDonald's. Next is my King of Cups. And in here you see the king have a big old pointy looking crown on top of their head. And it's also droplets, just like the queen, except the queen had moon drops. The king here has eye drops, I guess if you want to call it, because it's droplets with what looks to be like a dragon's eye inside of them. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's weird. I don't know where I get my ideas from, to be honest. But so the king has a crown of eye drops. I'm just gonna call them eye drops. Dragon eyes, whatever. Eye drops. All right, the king has a crown of eye drops, looking all pointy and stuff. And again, like I said earlier, I try to make the king's crown a bit taller compared to the queen's. Behind the king, you will see the big old cup with the roses at the base of the cup. And here you have the cup to the left of the king. Next is my King of Swords. So in here, the crown is made up of a bunch of swords going down and going up. So they're stabbing down and they're stabbing up. And you have the feathers at the base of the sword, so that's what you also see covering most of the forehead of the King of Swords here. You also have some feathers on their side by the temples. And behind the king, you'll see the big old sword towards the left of the king. All right, and last but not least, within our court cards is the King of Wands. Here, my King of Wands has a crown of flaming eyeballs. Yes. Can you imagine how freaky that would look, especially if the eyes are still alive and they're blinking? So my king has a crown of flaming eyeballs. Behind the king, you'll see the wand to the left of the king. And at the base of the wand, you have the flames coming out of it too. Not gonna lie, with the King of Wands, I had a bit of trouble trying to think of like, what kind of crown should the King of Wands have? I didn't just want to give the King of Wands a crown of flames. I felt like, and I did like a version of that, but when I looked at it, when I kind of like took a step back and looked at it, I'm like, it doesn't feel right and it doesn't look right to me. Like it doesn't feel complete. Something is missing. It just didn't look or feel like the King of Wands to me. Because of the crown. I know it's something like so simple that like the crown would throw it off, but you'd be surprised at what small little details can throw something off. Pay attention to the small details. They're just as important as the big ones. I thought about it for a while. I put aside the King of Wands as I finished all the other court cards. I think the King of Wands was like my 5th card when I was working on the court cards. But because I was stuck, I put it aside and I worked on all the other ones. So it gave me time to sort of brainstorm on what felt right for their crown. And in the end, I stuck with flaming eyeballs for the crown of my King of Wands. It's really weird, but it looks really cool. I love it so much. I don't know, can you imagine just like seeing a crown like that? That'd be cool as heck. But yeah, that is my King of Wands. Let me know in the comments which court card is your favorite or which set of court cards is your favorite. Is it the swords? Is it the cups? Is it the pentacles? Is it the wands? One of each. Which ones do you like more? And just so you guys know, as this video is going up, it may or may not be posted before or after finishing my major arcana. If it's posted before finishing my major arcana, as of right now from filming this video, I have about 4 cards left to complete my major arcana. That being said, I'm about halfway done with the deck as I'm filming this video, which I'm so excited for because that means that I am on schedule for releasing my Kickstarter. I'm hoping for fall of 2021, so fall of this year, maybe sooner, but we'll see. Fingers crossed, guys. As usual, thank you so much for all of you who continue to support me in this journey of creating my tarot deck. For those of you who are anticipating the release of my deck, it means a lot to me. It does keep me going and it does keep me motivated to get this project done. I'm excited just as much as you guys are. Like I really hype myself up to release a video with an update on the art, just to show you guys and to see what you guys think about it. But yeah, again, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. And if you know anybody that may be interested in my deck or likes this type of artwork, then share the video with them. Maybe they'll be interested in purchasing a deck themselves. You never know. And it'll also help the campaign when it actually launches, which would help me a lot. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!